Hey, Den of Geek and Talking Strange fans, Aaron Sagers here, coming at you from Ethereal Horror Fest in Austin, Texas. And let me tell you, there is a short film out there called Gummies, and you can really feel the presence of this film at this festival. And it is directed and produced by my guest, Renetta Amador.
Hello.
Thanks for joining me. So much to ask you about, but first off, just kind of for people that are not familiar with Gummies, have not seen it, give us a breakdown of what this short film is about.
So essentially, Gummies is about a little girl who really loves boy things and really wants to be a boy, and the drastic measures her mother's taken to keep her little princess. It's
a creepy short film. It's you kind of jam pack a lot of creepy vibes in there, but it's also just beautifully shot. The aesthetics, it's just really gorgeous to look at.
Thank you.
And now you said you had taken great pains. You obviously thought a lot about the look of this film. What were you kind of going for?
You know, the star is 11 years old, so we were trying to capture the essence of she's very much little girl, but going through very real grown-up feelings. Mm-hmm. And also, you know, we wanted to make the audience feel uneasy while they were watching it without realizing they were what that was. So the color correction really skewed heavy, like on undertones of green and yellows, but with a really pretty pink on top of it of being, you know, a real girly vibe.
And this young actress, she is really quite haunting, and both innocent and haunting, which I think kind of goes perfectly together. What's the story with her? How did you find her? Because she delivers in, you know, a few minutes, quite the performance.
You know, she was just a stroke of luck. We had actually, you know, it was written for an 11-year-old, but then as we were talking about it, to find an 11-year-old to play that depth of emotion, it was going to be difficult, especially on her budget. Mm-hmm. So we were like, okay, well, maybe we can age her up to 14 and that'll be an easier find. Then we get a call. My production designer was like, I found your Alex. My landlord's little girl, that's your Alex.
Okay.
And he sent me pictures, and without even hearing her speak or having a conversation, I was like, that's my Alex.
Yeah.
And so we got so lucky with her, and you know, her depth of understanding things, I could just say, okay, well, give me an evil smile. And then I couldn't sleep for 2 days.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you can tell that there's a lot kind of happening behind those eyes. She conveys a lot. Okay, so the Gummies itself, I feel like people might be wondering if they haven't seen it, like, what's up with the Gummies? First off, we have some excellent pins that are on display here at the Ethereal Horror Festival, and then your very cool, creepy, bloody gummy earrings. So what's up with the Gummies as it relates to the film, as much as you can reveal?
I will just say that Gummies is an actual... In the short, there is symbolism and a symbolic item to what she's going through. You know, again, taking in childlike items mm-hmm. and turning them into something.
Yeah. There's this threat of violence throughout the film as well. And we're kind of left wondering, is there more to this story? So my question is there more to the story of Gummies?
There's definitely more to the story. First of all, like, we made a conscious choice not to show any of that, because I feel like what the human mind can make up is far worse than we could have shown on the screen. We just implied things a lot. We do have a feature version of the story, and it goes back into, you find out it's a generational thing that they're doing to their kids mm-hmm. To keep them in the societal norm.
Right.
And so we go back into mom's history to how it starts with Alex, the little girl in the short, and we just expanded that world.
The other pen that you have on your lanyard here is the Mexicutioner. I don't know if the camera can get it, but the Mexicutioner pen. So give us the background on Mexicutioner.
So my day job is, for 23 years, I've been a script supervisor on feature films, and I was working on a horror movie called Insidious, And the makeup artist started calling me Executioner because I'm totally easygoing. But then I'll fight for whatever the director wants. And she was like, oh, Executioner's coming in the house. And then it stuck. I was stuck for it for the rest of my career and my life. And so that's what we call our company, Executioner Productions.
It's also just a really cool logo and artwork there.
Well, the fun thing is I was on another show and the greens guy was like, I drew a picture of you. And I'm like, oh, that's amazing. I can't wait to see it. And then it was my dead face with a sword through it. So I was like, oh, okay. Mm-hmm. But it was great. It was beautiful. I don't know the intent, but I kept it and we digitized it into a logo.
Well, as you're presenting the world with Gummies and as a Latin woman in horror, talk a little bit about representation, and do you feel like it's a good time for not just Latin directors or Latin storytellers, but women storytellers in this genre?
There's going to be a time. This is the time, right? There's never been a time like now for women in general in filmmaking. That doesn't make it any easier, though. What I'm finding, coming across and having meetings with producers, my first short, it did really well. But it's always like women in horror. They're really hard to sell. Latina women in horror. Now that's, those are really hard to sell because that's not the norm. And it's not been the voice. But as I'm going through the festival circuit this time around, I'm finding more and more writers who have stories that's the exact voice that they want to tell it. And I guess it also is like, what do you define as horror, So a lot of people only think of slasher and aggressiveness as horror. But my particular love is that slow psychological burn that keeps you up at night and thinking about, the horror movies like The Night House or Bones and All
Yeah.
And so, I'm not saying that can't be told by a male voice, but they're just different ways that we process thoughts.
Right. Is there any story that you're just itching to tell that is very reflective of you as a Latina woman?
In general, all the stories that I have that I'm attached to tell, they're really... I have a theory that we have a whole genre of horror that's not recognized. And I, in my own mind, call it macabre romanticism. Love stories for horror lovers. And that doesn't, I would put Bones and All in that. Two cannibals fall in love, and what's the horrific outcome of that? Or, again, The Night House. Mm-hmm. Those are the kind of stories I want to tell that get into human emotion, but in a horror setting.
Yeah. Just out of curiosity, any cool urban legends or creepy stories or hauntings, anything from your childhood that informed sort of your vibe and interests and aesthetics now?
That would be my entire childhood, because I was raised as a Latina girl, like in a huge family, and my grandmother, she was very heavy into everything with eggs in jars to seep out the sickness. Breaking eggs on your stomach to see where they broke, the yolk did, to see where your stomach was hurting. My current apartment, I've been in 10 years. Everybody's seen the old man walking up and down my floor. I'm just like, I don't know why he's there, but he moves all my stuff and it's annoying. Mm-hmm. So I've always been surrounded with the knowledge that there's something else out there that we can't see. And it's fascinating. I love it and I live by it, and I think it guides me in some ways. Like I say with everything, you can use it for good or you can use it for bad. It's like, how do you want that to go?
She is the Executioner. It is Renetta Amador. She is the director and producer of the short film Gummies. And if people do want to check it out, I know it's on the film festival circuit right now, but how can they support you and hopefully get in front of their eyes?
You can follow us on Instagram at mexecutionerproductions.com, and that's MEXE-cutioner. And the virtual screenings will be posted on there. Due to the festival's sometimes rules, we can't do it publicly just yet, but if you follow, you will see ways to watch it.
Very cool. Renetta, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.